Hey guys, it's Ellen here, and today we're working on a spring watercolor landscape using shadows with bright colors. I go over this step by step. I have a little sketchy traceable that goes on Patreon, but I also have attached the actual reference photo here, and I show you how I just take that reference photo and interpret it my way. It's really loose. It's not exactly like the photo, but it kind of looks like the photo, and how I just take the colors and make this simple shadow with the road. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Also, if you're not a Patreon member, check it out. Boop, right here. I have traceables, ad-free videos, exclusive tutorials on Thursdays, and soon I'll be adding in live streams on once a month on the top tier. It's just a place people can go and support my channel, which I appreciate. And please don't forget to hit the bell notification button to know my tutorial is up. And also like, share, and subscribe. So without further ado, let's get painting. Okay, so I'm going to go over all my supplies. I have a piece of 100% cotton cold pressed paper. This is Arsh paper. I've taped it down with Scotch Magic tape on just a piece of thick cardboard. It's a 7 by 10 inch piece of paper. I've already sketched out my landscape. I've attached the reference photo, which is this. I liked it because I have all the bright greens, and then here, the photo on the Xerox copy doesn't do it justice, but when you see the link, it's really kind of like a bright purpley blue. So it's just kind of light, and the photo is a little bit dark, a lot darker than this. So, I'll take some liberty on this. I'm not going to really copy everything verbatim, like the sky might be a little bit different, and then this background mountain. But a lot of greens, a couple of really deep dark browns, but I like the row that was not just this brown color, it was like a purple blue kind of tinge to it. So I'm going to be using Princeton 12 Neptune brush, Grumbacher 10 brush. I might throw in a smaller brushes. We're just going to be washing in color, and you can just watch how I would interpret this. So I'm just going to take some water on the 12 brush, right? And I have, like you can see in the sky, is like this pretty blues that are going across. I have this Verdier blue here, which is kind of really pretty. I'm going to water this down. It seems to have like a little pink tinge to it in here, but if you look at the photograph, it doesn't show that. So the Xeroxes are kind of funny. So this is when you do your own artistic impression to it. You just kind of take this brush, a really loose wet paint here. I'm just going to use it right out of the tube. I don't even care. And I'm just going to kind of go across like you see in the picture. Going to just grab some more water, actually. I'm not going to go too much because I want the green to go over top of that blue. I'm just wetting this and going across, making those lines like you see. And just kind of washing in a little color over in here. There's just little color blues peeking through just under in here. And there's over in here. And there's a deeper blue purple mountain kind of over here. Like I said, you don't have even to follow this. You can just kind of do your own thing. I might lift up some of this paint and go back in. At this point, I might grab a little bit of ultramarine, mix with that Verdier blue. Just makes a nice, prettier, deeper color. Go back in here and just put these little lines going across. And then there's just a few over in here. And then there's the mountain that was down here. Really get that ultramarine, just a little bit more. I'm going to grab my paper towel because I feel like it's bleeding too much over to this section here. See? It's good to have paper towel close by. I don't know if I mentioned that. I have paper towel also. So, just going to put that blue color in here. So just had a little bit of that sky. I'm not going to do too much of this. Like you see here. There wasn't any over here because the sun was coming from this way. That's why we had the shadow over in here. So this robe was kind of like a really pretty pale pink with some purple blues in my mind. And this is how you can interpret nature to have some bright colors to it. I'm going back in and adding some ultramarine. Just in that mountain, this area. And I have that Verdier blue. I put a little bit of these, little bit of clouds in the blue. Just like that. See, it wasn't much. Okay. So for that road, it's a really like pale purple. And then we're going to go back in and we'll add the pretty shadows from the trees. So we'll just grab some magenta, really loose, that ultramarine blue with that, a little more ultramarine blue, more of a blue purple. See, it's pretty purple. Can grab a little more blue. All right, I'm going to really water this down. See, get a lot of water. To get the right color. If you have a piece of scrap, I have some scrap around here of the flowers that I was playing around with. You can see if you like the color, right? Fairly watered down. And I think it's good to always just kind of match it to the, say, oh yeah, I think that was pretty good. So I'm just going to put that color wash, that pale pinky purple, right in for that road. Get that first initial wash down. I'm going to go back over it with those blues later on. Now it could have been just the photograph enhanced the color to make it these colors, but it doesn't matter because this is kind of how you can do anything. You can just enhance it with the color. If you want to add a bit of gray, a little bit of browns to this too to make it seem a little more realistic. So I have some burnt umber up here. I'll water it down. Just put a little bit. That's a little too much, but I'm going to wash it in a little bit. Just a little bit on the road up in here. So it doesn't seem so goofy in my mind. That's kind of that pinky purple haze color. And maybe just throw a little bit over in here. Just wash in a little bit so it seems a little more realistic. Right? Right in here in the middle. Okay, so that's that. Now we're going to work on all the background greens. There's a lot of bright, dark, light. Obviously you do light first because the darker ones you can always paint over light. So I have cadmium yellow deep here. I'm going to put it right in with this brown. Right, and I've got peacock blue. It makes it really nice, bright, almost chartreusey kept green. But you see this really bright greens going in here and around here on the edge and over here. And we're just going to take with this brush, we're just going to flop it in. What I mean by flop it in, we're just going to take it and just kind of really just kind of loosely wet, just kind of tap it in. We don't have to make it look like this perfect leaves. You see? If it seems too wet, you just tap it on your paper towel. See, I'm just kind of like really just doo-doo. And here's a little bit of grass. So you can just kind of take your tip of this brush, swoop it up a little bit. See, it's movement like this. Grass. Because remember, you can paint the dark over light, but you can't paint the light over the dark unless it's like gouache. So I'll just be putting in just little washes of color here, and then we'll have to paint the trees around that green. Because what you should do is kind of squint your eye and see where the green, the light pale green is. Just squint it. You know, I'm just squinting your eye and you can see that there's pretty pale greens over in here on the trees. And here. Now I'll paint it over this blue, so it will show up somewhat. And then we'll get medium greens and darker greens going up this way. And why we're just doing like this tapping motion is because you still want the white to peek through for the trees. So just going like this. Right, we're building and building. I'm going to grab some more. I need to mix up a fair amount of this paint. I'm just really just kind of tapping it loose. Just like that. Still leaving some white. You know, a little bit light up in here on the edge, and then we'll put in some medium brown. Excuse me, green. I'm just kind of loosely putting in a color in here. And we got a lot of tree cover up in here. I'm putting this loose color first. And go back in and we'll add some medium greens. Can always add the darker tones later, but you can't add the lighter tones on top of that. So I'm just going to wash in some of this light green in here. Like I said, we'll change it later. See, I add a little more of that blue, and the green changes just even a bit more, right? Still just kind of loosely tapping in the color. This is just going to be a loose study on how to make the road have a color to it. Still just kind of washing in the color here. Do all this first with the light color. Now, while it's still damp, I'm going to try and get more of this color over in here. So I'm just going to tap, 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 tap. Really just loosely tapping up in here. Going to add some more of this Prussian peacock blue with yellow, so we get even a deeper green. See? Bright though. If you want to add a teeny bit of the burnt umber, again, we're going to just do this tapping thing here. Now it's already wet from some of this other green, which is great. We're just going to tap in and we're going to bleed a little bit. I'm just playing around with adding in this medium green. You can also just take this really loose paint and splatter some of it too. Be careful, just do the top half. Gives a nice look. We're not going to go perfectly like this photograph. We want to have a little more artistic impression. We're just using it as reference. See, I'm turning and twisting, kind of tapping it that way. Right? I'm sitting on my chair to make sure I'm showing what I'm doing here. Okay, so going to make some more of this color, a little bit darker with more blue, some brown. Again, with this loose brush, I'm just going to push around this paint. See how I'm just doing this? Those back bushes that you see here. Now I'm going to have to add some more green in here that I've noticed. And you're going to have to paint around those grasses. So I'm just going to do the opposite way. Instead of going this way, I'm going to go like backwards, like that. See that? Just like that. I get that medium green. And here, while this green is still very wet, I'm going to go and add some Prussian blue right in there. It's pretty wet. That should bleed nicely to just make it the green even deeper. I can add a little brown too. Add this burnt umber. See, it would bleed nicely, giving it that deeper shade. Just going to tap it in there. So we're going to just be playing around with adding greens, different greens. So I'll be adding some darker greens down in the front here. See, I'm just loosely kind of washing the color in. We don't need to get super technical. Just get the idea of the green. Now I can notice that I missed this section with the bright green, so I'm going to go back in and add in those leaves that I missed. This bright yellowy green. Kind of right over in here. And some more over in here. Just keep playing on with that. And then I'm just going to go back in again with the greens that I mixed before. Kind of putting in some dark. See? I'm going to add a little Prussian blue. It's pretty wet. And like I said, we're just doing this loosely. This is the shadow from the tree. This is a big tree here. And we have some darker greens, much darker greens going back here. See, I'm grabbing some more Prussian peacock blue and some yellow, putting in some prettier greens back here. These ones are much darker, and then I grab some Prussian blue while it's still wet. I'm just kind of bleed that color in. So we're getting all our medium greens, our darker greens. They seem like too dark, but we'll just keep playing around with adding lighter back here. And see how I'm swooping it up and then taking in the paper towel, the excess. Again, using the tip to make smaller marks and then flattening down to make bigger ones. I feel like the green up here just kind of died. I'm going to go add some more color to that up here. And we have this nice pretty medium green in the front. Just kind of loosely sticking this in. And then here and there you can see it's a little bit darker. Just grab some Prussian blue. Just kind of swath that in there. It's always good to stand up. I'm standing up just to see how it's coming about here. It's getting there, right? We're going to be putting those trees in. Adding in some more of those medium green colors. You could spend like all day trying to paint these little teeny leaves and go nuts, but when you have a bigger brush or you want to splatter, it goes a little faster. There's another technique I'm going to show you too with dry brush, but right now we're just doing the wet on wet. And you're going to grab some more Prussian blue up here while it's still wet, make it a little bit darker. Some of the greens up in here, just a little bit darker. Kind of wash that in a little bit. Got a lot of greens. There's some more over in here. A little bright. Add more yellow to this one here. Differentiate between the two greens. So this got a little washed out here in the front. So I'll just go back in. I'll just kind of add that pretty green again. And then over in here, little brown tones, brown gray. So I've got some burnt umber. I might mix some Payne's gray with that. I have it on the right hand side here, this grayish color. Like I said, it doesn't have to be technically like the picture. I'm just going to kind of washing that in. Get some grays right in here. And then over in here too. So we've got some greens but some grays. I'm going to just throw that in here. While it's still damp, I'm going to grab my greens. See, I'm just kind of pushing this paint around. Really loose. Tap, tap, tap. I want it really loose looking. You know, got the idea from the photograph, but it's not going to be perfect. I'm standing up, so you can hear me getting up from my chair to see how it's looking. All right, at this point, I'm going to put in some of my tree colors. Going to fix this road a little bit. Going to add some grays down in here. Okay, so the brown, it's really like a deep dark brown. So I'm actually going to sheet and use a little bit of black gouache and mix with my burnt umber. Get this deep brown. I'm going to put that in. Careful painting around the leaves because there's a lot of leaves in the front. So we're painting around. There's some more leaves up here. I'm not going to paint those. Going to go in here and add the tree peeking through the leaves. So you're painting kind of around all that greenery. Just going in real quick. And then I'm going to add in this tree here. Now I noticed that there's way more greenery here and I didn't put that in, so I'm going to have to add that. And you'll see the tree trunks coming through. And then this one has the leaning tree, tower tree. Just a little bit coming through. That's all leaning. So yeah, I noticed that I need more greens in here. What I'm going to do though is grab my Princeton number 4 Velvet Touch Series brush because it's very skinny. And I can go in and put little branches that you see kind of coming down. Right? And while it's damp, it's going to bleed a little bit, but that's kind of nice. I like that loose look of it. So you can get the branches coming from this tree, kind of wonky, going this way and that way. And then you can see some real skinny ones out here on the edge. And we'll add some more greenery to that. But there's like trees coming down and in over this way. Branches. And then from the tree itself here, you got some wonky branches coming around. You don't get to see much of them up top. A little bit of the tree coming through. You know, it's kind of a little bit tricky when you're trying to paint light green leaves and you got some dark tree trunks. So you have to paint around it. The negative space around it. We're getting there. So when you start filling in some of the tree branches, just going in here. Then you can go back in again with your greens and just fill in all the parts that you're missing. Just gonna go in here. There were some trees coming, peeking through out here, little skinny ones. Could add some of that. You don't have to. It's up to you. I mean, it's like I said, artistic expression. You don't have to add everything you see in the picture. I mean, obviously mine is not going to be exactly like the picture. And I think it looks better that way. I think it's more of your interpretation of how nature was unfolding in this photograph. So now you see I left some spots here because I need to add more greens. Got the yellow and the peacock blue. And so I'm going to take back my brush, the bigger one, and go back in here and just kind of tap in again all the pretty greens. You see a lot of green color in here. Now notice there's a darker green in here, so I'll grab some Prussian blue. It's good to have a variety of the greens. So the negative spaces in between here of darker green, you just kind of tap it in between that bright green. Just kind of filling it in. This one was a little bit lighter. Go in here and add some more lighter green. You can just take some actual straight yellow and kind of put that in there also. So this whole section, see I'm squinting my eye and I can see this whole section's kind of a medium green. And I'm just going to go in here, put a lot of that green color in real quickly. Like I said, you could also splatter it. It gives a bit more of a loose feel to it. I'm adding some brown. Still leaving some white. These ones have little teeny leaves out here. Just tap, 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 tap with the brush. And then the same thing up here. You see little leaves. So we're just going to fill in the colors here, guys. This one's a bright yellow. Don't want to go too dark next to the tree trunks, because then you can't differentiate where the tree is. So I'm going just back in here. I'm just tapping away, still leaving some of that white. Getting there, right? See how we painted the negative space here? That's in like another. I was going to do a tutorial on negative space. I might do that one later. But now that we have all the basics of the color, I'm going to go in and splatter in some of this medium green that I'm making. So it's, again, it's peacock blue, yellow, a little bit of burnt umber. It's a little too much burnt umber. Make it a little prettier. And yellow. Take whatever brush or thing and go in here and tapping in another color. It just gives it that. Grab some Prussian blue, throw it on my brush. It seems a little more natural looking. A little more Prussian blue. Then just slowly painting the leaves. And we can just go again and tap in here like na 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 na. More yellow. I made a swath of color over here, huh? Da, 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 da. I'm having fun. The tapping part is the best. So yeah, I think it looks kind of like what we're looking for. And this part is just a little too light over here. Here we go. Add a little more yellow. Okay. So now let's go to the road. If you want to go back in and add, well, it's dry, some deep tones here, shadows. Just kind of get washed out a little bit in front. Go back in. with some Prussian and some deeper greens. Just got kind of washed out a little bit. You're going to be playing around with that, guys. To me, it seems like what I like. Okay. So, now for the road. Purple blues. We're going to have to clean up our little mess here. I made such a mess. You can still use the Princeton 12 if you want. It's sometimes fun to use a big brush. The ultramarine and that magenta make like the perfect. That's a little too pink. I want a little more blue. Okay, there it is. Again, we're going to see, you're going to play around with more blue. Water that sucker down, and then you tap on the paper towel, and you're going to slowly just kind of like add in. It seems a little too purple. I'm going to add a little more blue. Almost actually like you're just washing down the ultramarine in a way. I'm going to just go across. See? Little lines. Leave some here. There's some bigger color here. Still seems a little purple. I'm gonna add a little more blue. Wash it down a little bit. See how it seems like the shadow is working now, right? Got a little blue in here. I'll add just a teeny bit of the ultramarine blue, yeah. And then I'm gonna wash it down. I really kind of just whoosh it around down here. That part doesn't seem like a hard edge shadow. It seems a little washy. Same thing here. I've added more water. And I'm just going to put that color in here. Really watered down. It seems more intense up in here. Coming across. And less so down this way. Yeah, see how the purple? It's just like, it's wild, right? With the color. There's a little bit of blue purple in this way. And you can put some of that purple right into this grassy knoll area. So here is just a little washier, which means you have to water it down more. And there it was more intense, right? Where the trees were. Making it feel more intense. Doesn't that look great? I mean, this seems kind of crazy, but it's really simple. And then we're going to go back in here into this mountain area and add that purple. Maybe add a little more darker tone up here. And in here. So you've got the mountain in the background. Right? I kind of like it, guys. What do you think? Not bad, right? That's that pale pinky color, and then you got that intense purple blue color. Don't go overboard. You know, you can easily go overboard. While it's still damp, you can add a little bit of washing of the color in here. Just to get a little variety going here. Then back in here, I do have to add this kind of just washed out. A little bit of green. And then you get details. You can go in and add like some grass and some flowers if you wanted to just, you know, they would look like there was some white little dandelions or yellow dandelions over here. Play around with that, you know. I might go in and add those. Gonna grab some yellow color in here. So with my number 4, just even any kind of small brush, you can throw in some of those good old white dandelions that you saw. Right on the side of the road. It just gives a little sparkle, a little something. And with this little brush, you can tweak and go in and add the little teeny leaves that are more yellow-green on the outskirts of the painting. But that's pretty much it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this little. See, I'm going to add a little yellow on the outside here because the sun's kind of hitting some of that. And there was a lot more yellow up front here. You can add some white, like little flowers. It seemed like there was like whitish yellow flowers. So you can just take that gouache and add it to the yellow and go in here and put some of those. Just tapping with this brush for the yellow flowers. And that's that, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to hit the bell notification button. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any questions, please leave in the comment section. And like I said, if you're a Patreon member, you can just download the quick trace that I did. But really, you can just look at the photograph and kind of trace out where the trees go and kind of imagine all that other stuff. So take care, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.